almost tragic, but didn't turn tragic, ended up turning heroic as strangers at Lake of the Ozarks saved a 5-year-old from drowning over the weekend.
You know, and this is a parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, you got young kids and then all of a sudden there's a kid at the bottom of a pool and you don't know who it is and whatnot. So it happened at the Lake of the Ozarks resort pool last weekend. The boy was saved by 3 strangers who came around to help out, including a nurse practitioner and an off-duty trooper, and they kept this kid from drowning, right? So Lauren Marino was at the lake with her family from Louisiana. They were kind of winding down after a baseball tournament out at Ballparks National out there, and a lot of the teammates were starting to head out and go do what they do. Marino was ready to go watch the LSU game at the College World Series, and she was waiting on her son to go down the slide out at the pool, apparently, and she heard some shouting. And she said, at first, I thought they were roughhousing with their kids. She said the dads and another team were playing some basketball there in the water, but the men were screaming and carrying a little boy to the side of the pool, right? So you know you got a big problem happening there. Chief Deputy Steve Lucas, who responded with the Osage Beach Fire Protection District that day, said an off-duty Illinois Highway Patrol officer had seen the boy at the bottom of the pool. Can you imagine that? That would like freak me out, man. So there's this boy, bottom of the pool, not moving. The officer jumped in, pulled the boy out. There were no lifeguards on duty, right? So this facility is a swim at your own risk facility, which is fairly common.
Yep.
And she says, I'm a nurse practitioner, so I realized what was going on. I took off toward the little boy. Marino said she remembered helping him and another smaller kiddos go down the slide earlier in the day. They were out there having fun, doing their thing. She said it looked like they were all pretty good swimmers, so she wasn't worried. She said, we both immediately checked for a pulse, and he wasn't breathing at all. And I did not think we were going to get him back, is what this nurse practitioner thought. She thought he was dead and gone, the little boy. So the nurse and the stranger took turns administering CPR until they got the 5-year-old's heart working again, and they found a weak pulse. And then, as happens when you do this, the boy vomited, starting to vomit up the water and everything. And the boy started to come around, never totally came out of it. So they were worried. But they saved this kid's life, pulled him out of the bottom of the pool. I mean, how amazing is that?
Yeah, praise the Lord. Lauren Menino and this off-duty Illinois Highway Patrol officer, as well as the other man who was apparently involved in anesthesia, Lauren noted in the Lake Expo article, but they acted quickly, and because of that, what would have been just one of the most tragic stories in the history of Lake of the Ozarks turns into a heroic story. So, wow, really cool. Really cool stuff, and as a dad of an almost 5-year-old, there is no greater fear in a parent, and so just really cool that ended the way it did.
Yeah.